Good evening, ladies and gentlefolk. I'm your friendly neighborhood scarecrow, and today I've got something to talk about. Over the last few years, I've developed what I would say is kind of an addiction to buying vinyl records and mainly just buying albums from artists that I regularly enjoy. Sometimes I buy whole records, though, just for the one song. We all do. At this point, though, I've bought records from all kinds of places, and the quality, depending on whether you go in person to a real store or online, can vary pretty greatly. For example, Walmart or, say, Target, they have these really tiny record collection shelves. It's odd to me. I've never once seen them update the stock they have in these stores. Like I went to Walmart and I could say I've probably seen the exact same record there for the last like 2, maybe 3 years. Um, I don't remember who's it by, but it's got this very interesting cover art that I always seem to catch myself looking at whenever I see it, but it's been the same copy. I've never seen anybody bought it. They do have some good ones though, despite the severe lack of good stock. I mean, maybe five of them are good, if that. And the worst part about it is the prices on these things are so absurd. Like 9 times out of 10, these brand stores are just upcharging insane levels. I went in there and bought a re release album version of a My Chemical Romance record, and I don't think I paid less than $25 for it. And I've seen copies go for way less in um like secondhand stores or whatnot. The only reason why I paid as much as I did was it was a brand new sealed record. I didn't want one that was damaged, so I figured I'd just pay the $25, get me a new record, and then of course, like every person that buys vinyl records, you go to another store like a week or so later and you see the exact record you just bought for half the price and you realize you got scammed. But when you don't want to get scammed, you got your secondhand places like one of my all-time favorite stores, a place called Second and Charles. It's like your local alt girl hangout. Um, but I'm not really sure how every location is. The one closest to me has this massive vinyl section. Um, I'd say there's at least 100 records in there for you to flip through at any given moment. They've got some real good stuff in there. Um, whether it's a brand new album, like an older pressing, or someone's secondhand collection, they tend to have all kinds of stuff in there. So, if you're looking for some gold in there, you're going to find it. Um, for an example of mine, I went to the store and I found a radio promo record. There's something um, that record labels will send out to radio stations so that they are able to promote the song. But I don't like to buy them. They're kind of cool. Um, they're not usually worth the price, in my opinion. This might be a little controversial, but I'm just not all too into the like different mix thing that comes along with buying promo records. A lot of those radio records come with the original version of the song as well as usually a radio clean version and then like the instrumental and then the vocals isolated into their own section. which is, not bad. Not bad. Um, I just personally don't prefer buying a record that only has one song on it. But this one particular time, I was going through uh, their rap section, and you know, there was a lot of stuff in there. Not very good, but I'm going in through the list, and I noticed that there was a promotional record with the Death Row logo stamped all over it. And, I mistakenly figured, well, I wouldn't say mistakenly, but I, figured it would be heat without, checking it or anything because this didn't have um an artist name on it or anything. Um it was just the name of the song with the Death Row Records at the top. And I kind of just assumed it would be heat. I had never heard of the song, but I've listened to quite a lot of artists from Death Row Records and can't say I have anything to complain about. So I walk up to the front lady and she's telling me that it's like only $2. For a radio promotional record, that's not bad at all. $2 for one song. But I accidentally discovered one of the greatest songs I had ever heard. I don't think they even knew what they had. There was no way they knew what they had for selling it for $2. So I buy it and I get home and I'm listening to it. And that's when I realize it's not just any Death Row promotional record. It was a Tupac promotional record, bro. Ooh, it was a song called Pour Out a Little Liquor. That song, I have bumped it so many times after I heard it. But that song really put me on, and ever since then, I've listened to some more music, and I like it. Some good stuff. But to really get into the reason why I'm talking to you, and the reason why I'm talking today, is this absolute absurd experience I had at another store. So, there's a place called Disc Replay. It's basically like this nerd's paradise. They got like old action figures and consoles and console games and all these movies and CDs and stuff. Really is just like amazing inside. They got so many cool things. But because there's a lot of, niche stuff, they kind of just have a bunch of all kinds of products laying about the store. So sometimes it can get a little messy. They have records, just laying against the glass cabinets or something. Or they might have, some action figures, just sitting on the cabinet. Might not look like it's for sale, but it is. And, knowing this, I walk into the store and I'm looking at their record section. And on this particular day, it wasn't really, you know, dirty or anything, but they had clearly gotten like some kind of record collection or something. And so I'm looking around, and just the way that the store is set up is just so unorganized that you kind of don't know what you're looking at most of the time. But I go and I walk up to one of the glass counters because I see that there's like this box with some records in them, and next to them is this stack of at least 20 records. There was at least 20 of them there. And nobody's standing at them. So I just assume, like a semi normal person that I am, that it's fine to flip through them. No, no, not at all. So it turns out that somebody was buying this entire stack of records. And I mean, no shade at all to this dude, but from what I saw, it was not too good. But the worst part about it is not that he was buying so many. I have no issue with that. It's the fact that when he was buying them to resell in his own shop. I didn't recognize him, so I must not have ever been in his store before. And honestly, thank God, because he's got one of two things going on. Either he's making a very small profit margin, or he is completely ripping his customers off. And it wasn't really like until about a year ago that I really started to notice that there were people that would do this kind of thing. Like at first, I thought it was kind of just limited to, sneakers or Pokemon cards, but it's kind of just everywhere now. And if I can, I'll put a picture of it up on screen. But every time I go onto Instagram, I see an advertisement for a $5 vinyl like delivery service, maybe. The way it's described just doesn't make any sense to me. Like from the advertisements that you see, it seems like you would be able to go buy a record for $5 that came out at any point in time. Like if I wanted to go buy the new J. Cole record, I could go there and pay $5 for it. Well, that's not entirely true, but whatever. Um, it's kind of shady. I'm never gonna buy from there, and if you watching this ever see that ad, I hope that you don't buy from there either. All right, so now I want to wrap this up, but I do want to tell one last story before I let you all go for today. I actually used to be a semi regular at this record shop. It was run by this older guy. He was a little odd, but cool. And one day I had found an album with a song I had really liked on it. It was a record by the Platters. Honestly, it kind of felt like a miracle seeing it. I had just a few days before had thought of that song and was thinking about um how I wanted to get it on a record. Only You being the song, sorry. But I didn't want to pay because you got to realize when you're Amazon shopping for vinyl records, you're probably spending $30 on a record. And there's a very high probability that you can get a better deal somewhere else. So I just tend not to want to buy them online. So I just, happened to find this and I was so happy. It wasn't an original pressing, would have been a 10 out of 10 goated find if it was, but it was pretty close to the original set. So I was like, let me buy it. It was only like 15 or so bucks. So I walk up to the counter where the guy is standing and he starts flipping through my stack of stuff. And when he gets to the record that I have, he stops. And there's this guy that's like standing next to him. I guess he's an employee, but I'm going to be honest. Whenever I've gone into that store, if it's not the owner working, nobody else is doing anything. But whatever. Um, so the manager guy, he turns to the other dude and he goes, "Man, who even listens to this anymore?" Now, I want you to keep in mind, I've been shopping here for like a little while now. I've bought like similar records and whatnot, and we've had conversations about the bands and the music that I've bought. But for whatever reason, he just wanted to straight up disrespect me that day. I have no idea why. I haven't been back since. It's not because of that incident, mind you. I just don't have the money to go spend on vinyl records, which kind of sucks, if I'm being honest. But if I could, maybe I'll start buying more records online, but the deals, they're just not it. If any of you have any ideas of where I might be able to to find some good deals or know some places out there, let me know down in the comments below. Leave a like, obviously comment, and please subscribe. And in other words, that's all, folks. And if I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.